Hi guys, welcome to your favorite code snippet channel, Folakoze. And today I'll be teaching you or showing you ways you can select elements on your DOM. So guys, relax and sit back and enjoy the tutorial. So this right here in our face here is a DOM. It's of course known as a document object model, and this is your HTML body. I mean the body of the application we're trying to create, a JavaScript application, quiz app. So there are elements here that we can see. As we see, we have the tags, we have different tags, and we should be able to select elements. So I'll be teaching you three ways we can select elements from the tag, and the fourth one will just be an additional extra, just for you to raise up your way. So I'll be teaching you how to select elements via ID. We're going to be using a method called the get element by ID. I'll also be teaching you about how to select elements via the class, because of course the elements, there are different kind of tags, of course, and there's an element that there are elements that you can access them via the class, because they are class elements and they are class name. So the method we use to extract this kind of elements is known as the get element by class. Also, I'll be teaching you how to extract it through a tag name, and as well the bonus would be, let me not say it, but don't worry, when it's time you will get to know. Alright guys, sit back and relax and enjoy. So well, this, as we see, is a browser. It's an ID, and I would like us to move to a more different ID, more sophisticated, or not more sophisticated, but much more, complex ID. Not complex per se, but this is strictly for JavaScript. So we're going to be using it, and of course, we're going to be using it from our Google Chrome. So guys, we are going to be using our Google Chrome browser, and in our Google Chrome browser we have this inbuilt IDE. So how do we access it? We just right click and then we click on inspect, and as we can see, it has loaded here. So what did I do in long term? I just opened a page. I'm going to show you again by doing the same thing. So I just opened a page, an empty page on Google, and I just searched for anything. As you can see, I just searched for sites. So it just brought me sites, and when the page was loaded, I right clicked and I clicked on inspect. So it's very easy to access. Just go to your browser and follow the steps. You get it. It's very easy. So as you see here, we have elements. As you can see, what I was trying to explain to you. This is the DOM of this page that was just loaded. It has this document objects model of the page that was just loaded from the sites that I just searched for. So the browser loaded this page, and I want to assure you that this is more like the engine room of whatever you see and your interface, because this is the interface. What gives us the access to communicate is our input, and of course what's being returned is our output. So whatever is happening in our interface is engineered by all this you see in your face, in your presence here. So we have tags. This is, as you can see, the HTML. This is the head. Let me just close it like this. So according to HTML, the construct of the HTML language, you have your head, you have your body, and that's for structure. So once you open your head, you get to see some other content that has to do with this page, has to do with the regulations of the page. We don't have to go into all that. All that are for strictly, going to just debating it for more time. So what I'm just trying to show you, the elements that it comes a time in a programmer's life you might need you might get into a situation whereby you need to select some all of these elements while you are trying to create a web page, or a web app. You're trying to create a web app, or you're trying to link your JavaScript with your HTML to make your website more dynamic, or make your app much more, not just being static and all that. So the first way I would show, I mean, the first web method I knew as a computer programmer, as a JavaScript person, was by the get elements by ID method. So I'm going to show you. So of course, let's go straight to the console. So as you guys, you can see here, this is the console that we're going to be using presently. Let me just clear the board. So of course, it's going while I'm typing some codes, it might just show you some. It might show you some codes I have perhaps typed in previously. So we can just follow up on all that. So to show you that this ID actually works, I'm going to create a function, an addition function, and we're going to test it. It's going to accept about 2 parameters or 3 depending. So, and we just test it to make sure that, to see that the, what was it, the ID is operating as it should. So here we're fixing the parameters. As you can see, the ID is even giving us hints on what we're going to do. So I just fixing parameter x and y because I don't want it to be just 2 variables. So sometimes I like to make my code on one line because when my code is not too much, I just like it on one line. I don't know why I'm like that. So we're going to be returning something. I will then make use of the return keyword. I'm actually doing 2 things at a time, so that's why my typing is not really sincere. So we return. So let's say because we are adding up, so we just do x plus y and close the brackets, and of course we use the close back with squiggly brackets, and of course. So now we can decide to console something out, console log something out, console log. It's very okay to make mistakes while you're programming. It's very normal. As a master programmer, you will even make mistakes. So you can see it has brought out some options here for 3 2. This is for a function that has 3 parameters. Unfortunately, we're using a function that has just 2 parameters. So let's fix in the arguments that we want to calculate. Let's say 23, comma, 456. I'm just doing that. Don't mind me. Then we click. Oh, as you can see, it says that there's an error. So let's check. Guys, the error was just nothing else than a simple bracket that we didn't fix in. As you see it here, you see we open the brackets. I have to show you how you see how you have to be so delicate when you are coding. You have to watch out for mistakes like that. So that won't happen a second time. Just for you to see some of these mistakes to have to happen, so that we grow into it together. And now we close bracket properly. So we should have the addition of both sums, which we have here now. So we can even go further and do another function, maybe a simple function that will just perhaps do multiplication and all that. But there is no necessary need for that because we need to go straight into what we are trying to do today. So guys, let's go back to the elements section and search for elements that we can select via the ID. So you can see this division tag here with an ID name of bfoot. So we can select this element. This is the tag div. The div is known as the tag. We can go ahead to select that element. Perhaps just for some reasons. So I'll show you how you can select it from here. If it were to be on VS Code, it might not necessarily give an output. We have some codes here where we are trying to create a JavaScript quiz. So we're just still doing that by the side. So, and we are trying to select some elements from the JavaScript DOM, the HTML DOM, which is here. So that's why I decided to make a tutorial video on that, on showing people, because most developers today now just rely only on AI to do all this, and it's very bad. So if we were to be on JavaScript, VS Code, you might not get an output. So that's why I decided to use this ID. And guys, don't forget that this ID is very available. It's just available on your browser. It's not something that is so magic. It's not magic. There's no magic about it. So as I was saying earlier, we're just trying to select through an ID. So we've spotted one. We can go further to look for other ones. Okay, as you can see here, this is another div structure. it's an element that has an ID, and the name of the ID is, this is the name of the ID. Okay, so using the get element method, let's go dive straight in. So I can say or to make it a bit more serious, let's say constant, so that it doesn't change in anything anymore. So what are we trying to select? We're trying to select element ID. So guys, don't forget your camel convention naming convention method. So we have our variable name known as element ID that we have created because we want to store the documents. And this document, we're going to be attaching a method to it. The video is going to be a bit long. We get elements by ID method. So this get element by ID method is what is going to help us go into that HTML DOM and select that element. And I'm going to show you as we output it. So the name of the element we wanted to select was it? Okay, this was it. So let's just try and copy it and go back to the console and just paste it. Okay, so what's next to do here? Just output it, which is not hard. We just put in the name of the element, which is element ID. And so if we click enter now, we should get that element. As you can see, it has shown us the element here. So let's go back here. As you see the name, you see it's the same element. As you see it's the same element on the DOM, on the HTML DOM, and we were able to access it on the console using a simple JavaScript method called get element by ID. But this is just one way to get an element on the HTML DOM. We have many ways we can get it. So this is one way, element by ID. I'll be showing you another way, which is also known as the get element by class name. Now this element is a bit different from get element by ID. Get element by ID is known as one of the fastest ways because it is not selecting multiple elements for you, because each element is unique. An element can't have the same the same ID, and an ID can't have two same types. It's always going to be it's a unique. That's what they call it. When they say something is unique, it's because it doesn't have another type. It's unique to its own structure, to its own name, to its own characteristics. So the get element by class name is different. It's a bit different from the get element by ID. Now, the get element by class name returns what is known as a live HTML collection. Because what that means is that when you are getting elements by class name, what we're not saying get element by unique class name. We're saying get element by class name. Now look at this structure, look at this DOM. You are going to come across many tags that have class, that have the class. You're going to come out. I'm not going to use many class tags. So, for example, let me just. Okay, this is not something loud. So this is a class element here, and this is name. So when we're going to look for this kind of class elements, we're going to be using the method that will give us this name. But there might be many other classes that are using that same name. So that's why what it returns is known as a live HTML collection, because there will be more elements, obviously, that would have the same class name as what you want to select. So now, how do you deal with the output? You deal with the output by looping through it. So I will show you how to select an element via a class name, and as well I'll show you what the output is going to look like. So let's go back to our console. This time around, we're going to be using go back to using our constants. So that's the store. So we're going to use elements. What am I typing? Elements camel convention. Let's just say element CL. So this is going to be equals to documents dot. So the name of the method we're going to be adjoining is the get element. My caps lock is on. Why is my keyboard doing this? So by class name, class it right there. And so what's the class name of the element we're trying to search for? Let's go and search for something not too toxic. So now we have so as you see here, we have a class. We have some elements as well that would have a class name, and they'll have an ID. So as you see this one here, this element has an ID, which is main, and this one also has this the same. I mean the division tag named element also has the class name as this main blah 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 blah. That's just it there. So we can for this kind of element now we can actually select it via its ID name or its class name. So if you choose its ID name, you would get it directly. But if you use its class name, you will just get a live HTML collection. So now I'm teaching you how to use the class name. So that's what we're going to use. So this name is what, let's select the name, and okay, go back to console, and that's the name, big name. So what do we do now? Just complete the console log to get out what we want. So it's class. Okay, so yeah, so just what I was telling you about. So as you can see the output, what's the output giving us? It says HTML collection, and it gives us this, which is this is the element. As you can see it here, see the name. This is it, same as what we have just about here. And mind you, this element is carrying lots and lots and lots and lots of babies. So if I shut it down alone, if I shut it close, you see that the code has gone shorter. So what we are just seeing here is JavaScript trying to tell you that this element has more elements in it that are having have the same name. So this is the result of what it is here. So this is how to get an element via its class name by using the get elements by class name method. So and that's just it. So we'll be moving forward more to get an element via its tag name. Of course, the tag name is more easier because as you can see, the tag. Let's close the body of it. So as you see how the code has gone shorter. So we have the name, we have the head of the element, which of course has some boys in it and everything. And this is the body. So everything this is I want you to see what is known as a tag. So the tag, a tag usually refers to, it's just trying to show you, what is being held in the element you are looking at. So you can look at it like, maybe if you see a bus that is painted with the color of transportation in Lagos State, the usual yellow and black line. If you see a bus, you know that this bus is for transportation. It's not a private bus. So that yellow color and that stuff you can call it a tag. You can refer to it as that tag. You can't paint your car like that. You are tagging yourself as you get. So it's the same. So the tags are this structure, are these figures you see, this style, script, the all this h1, the div, division, and they are all categorized in different sections. So if you see a division tag, I mean a tag that is div like this, you know that you are referring to the structure of the HTML. If you see something like, maybe, I don't know, I've not seen an input. If I see an input tag, I would know. If I see an image tag, I just don't want to go too deep. But all those tags are, trust me, they are present, because this page, although it's not, this is a script. This is a script, and we don't need to play into all that. So we're going to be teaching. We're going to be going. I will show you how you can access via the tag. My video is getting too long. So you use your construct constant. So now for tag, you can just say element T. So what's the method for getting tags? It's very, very simple. You just use your get elements by tag. My keyboard must be really be fizzing out these days now. Pressed and pressed and pressed. So it's a very simple name. It's just get element by tag method. I almost made an error there. I had to go back to PTE. Yes, get element by tag name. That is it. So it has helped me to add this one. So what tag name are we looking for right now? We have plenty tags in this DOM. We have so many tags. I can decide to say div. If I say div, it will bring out almost 90% of all the tags, because we have the structure tag div is everywhere because of the page that we loaded. So I can decide, if I decide to say script, well, to bring out all the script tags, but they will also come out in form of a live HTML collection. That's the essence of all this. So the output is going to be in form of a live HTML collection. So let me just put, let me say maybe div, as we have said. Oh, yeah, div is okay. So you have a lot. So that means it's trying to tell you that there are lots of properties that are carrying that tag. Let me give me a chance to see. Okay, so output, of course, as you can see, is telling you that it is so much. You can see the amount of, so how do you make use of this output? As you can see, as I was explaining to you, this is just the out. You see the output. Look at, just because I tried to select the tag called div, it has brought out almost every div structured element in this DOM, this document object model. So that is how to select an element via the tag name. So that's one, guys. So, and the bonus I was talking about was teaching you how to select via the query select, and as well maybe the the query selector all. So there's a tag. There's an element. There. You see this? You see, most of the ways we use to select elements are known as the CSS selectors. Yes, the CSS selectors. So the beautiful thing about the the query selector, the method called document.query selector, is that it has it's very flexible. It can allow you search for a method via ID. It can allow you search for a method via class name as well as even tag name and many other functions. So I'll just show you what the query selector looks like, and I'll probably use it to select a class element, and as well I'll use it to select an ID element. So guys, let me teach you how to use query selector to select elements via ID, and I'm also going to teach you how to use query selector to select elements via class. So this is a new sheet. So we're going to start with ID. Let's say QID, because I'm just using this as like it means to know what we're trying to do. We're trying to differentiate the variables. So we use the query selector method, and so what are we doing here? We're trying to select an element via ID first of all. So let's look for an element that has an ID that we can select. We can use as an example. There are so many elements with IDs here. So let's just give it a okay. This has an element. This has an ID name, and also this has a class. Okay, so let's still go further to search for. Okay, this also has an ID. As you see, this is ID, and there are also many other ways to identify it. The data vet, and as you can see, this also has an ID as this. So we can select anyone. We can decide to use this. We can use this. So which can I use? Let me use anyone. This I use this one footer. Okay. So I'll just select this ID name and get it, soaked up, juiced up. And there's a way you select. Once we want to use the query selector, is really it's magnificent. It's a bit superior to every other method we have used to select elements in the past, and this is because the query selector allows us to select in a variety of ways. So to select an ID, we make use of the hash. The pound key has to be there, and then we fix in the name of the ID and complete back with the double quotes. And so what's next here? We go further by consoling out the value. So we have Q, should bring it for us QID, and then so if we click enter now, we should have this ID. Okay, as you can see, we have the JavaScript has brought out the ID for us. This method, the query selector method, has brought out the ID. Let's go back to cross check if it is the method. As you can see, we were right, it's the method. So we can go ahead to use it to even select this ID as well. I'm just going a step further. We're going to select this name. It's very short. Just select it. It's also another element. We're going to use the same process. This time we change the name of the constant. I'll just go ahead using this copy state, but let me feel a bit lazy. I've been coding all day, so sometimes you just get tired and you get. So control V. This one will send you. Now control V now once you do it 2 times. Your head go. See all the time I wasted now. See why it's not good to be lazy. So let's give this name of this. Let's give name of this variable. Let's say WRD. Okay. But it's always good to name your variables with what you are trying to select. So that you don't get it mixed up. So me, I'm not teaching you what is bad, but of course, we all programmers have our own way of coping. We generate numbers, we don't forget it. So, but let's be civil and let's try and use in proper way of naming our variables. So, as we're trying to select a variable via its ID. So let's give the name of the ID we're trying to select. Let's give it ID2. Okay, and we go into our parentheses box to select. So as I said earlier, when we're trying to select a an ID, when we're trying to select an ID, we make use of the hash keyword. That is very essential. If you don't make use of it, you're not going to make the query selector active. So the query selector has to be active. So what we're going to do, we're going to fix in the value. Oh, that's not the value. I thought we have copied the elements, but we haven't. So let's go to. So this is what we wanted to. This is the element we're trying to extract. So this is it, and then just steal it from there. Let's go back here. See how big my mouse is. Put it in. Jam it in. Okay. Console out it. ID2. So by the grace of God, we should have that element there. So I just extracted two elements, and I didn't use the get element by ID method. Instead I used the query selector. So I'm going to use this same query selector to select a class element. So let's go ahead, guys, and still try and steal this again. You can decide to copy it too if you are doing it or not. You can decide to copy, or you can decide to just do copy and paste. You can decide to write and copy and paste. I will advise you to write. Don't be like. So I will say I'll say class. I'll give this one element class. Now this element. Okay. So we're going to look for a class element that we're going to try to select. So these are our class elements here. Very, very good. So we just came across class elements. Actually, any class elements in this DOM is selectable. So don't be scared. Any class element you see in this is selectable. So we're just lucky to come across this. As you can see, it's very simple to get. So let's select this element name, copy it, and then we go to the console. So we have we're still using the query selector, which is the method for selecting elements in different forms. So we input the name of. So, but before we do that, as I was explaining earlier, for selecting elements via ID, we make use of the pound. But for selecting elements via a class name, a class CSS selector, we're going to make use of the dots. So as you see, there's a dot there, and further on, input the name and close the brackets. So then console log. What was the name of our variable? Element C1. So let's try. So for that, we are going to be clearing our, because it's already getting too messed up. So we're going to be giving that element, let's say 2. So as I was making mention earlier, once we are trying to select an element, a class element, like this element, we make use of the dots, and of course we're going to put in the division. So all this is just to let JavaScript know that this is where you should search. You should search the element of tag. Tag is the structure, is part of the structure of the HTML of your web page. So it's just to tell JavaScript that look, when I search inside the tag known as division, So we input the tag that it should search from, and the name of this element. Where is it? Where is the element? Okay, we chose this gbk. Okay, this is the name, the class name of the element. So let's go and select it again. So okay, so we go ahead to console log. What's the name of our element? Two. So, and that is it over there. As you can see, we have the class. We've invited the class over. So note that this is not a live HTML collection. It's actually brought it because it has selected its, the class name is also, it's the class name, and it's selected the class name via the class tag, via the tag, which is the division class. So, and in that division class, there is no other class name that is gb underscore k. There is no other. So that was why it was able to. That's why it brought it out. It's not. It was there were no much that it had to be a live HTML collection as output. So so that's just that is what it is all about. And I would also try to tip in a little bit, but my time is going so much. I don't want my videos to be too long because I feel like once it's getting too long, the watcher gets a bit bored. So I mean, to keep it interesting is to keep it short because they are snippets actually. So guys, I would like you to share my videos and of course subscribe, share it to your friends. Learning JavaScript is so fun, and if you keep up with me, I'm gonna make it much more fun to you. So I'm also going to add one more method, which is known as the query select all. Now the query select all is similar to the query selector, but what it does is it returns this instead. Unlike the query selector, the query select all. I'm going to show you the words so you know the difference. So let's just give it elements all. Okay. Selector all. Beautiful. So guys, the query selector all is similar to the query selector, but the query selector's job is more like, it's, say you have an element that has, like, you have an element with a name, but they are so much. You have elements with the same name, and you have elements with matching names, and they are so much. And the elements, the query selector all helps you extract. It helps you select these elements and gives you the access to them via looping, because its output, what it returns, is known as the static node list, which is not live. That's why it's called static. So it's not dynamic. So you can have access to it via looping it. So while I will look for an example here, I might not be able to search for uh, what was it, elements that have the same name, but I know this is a very volatile HTML DOM, and there's no how you select one element. So we select one element, we fix it in, and we select a class. I know there are many classes that have the same name here. Even IDs, no, but IDs are unique. So, but a class will have, there's some classes that have some same names, and we expect that it returns to us a node list of all these classes, where we'll be able to go through them via looping. But we're not going to do that in this exercise because we're already out of time. So we look for this element's class name. So let's just go. Let's scroll through. Yeah, we can see this is very. I'm using this. You guys don't forget. I'm using this typical browser. It's your Google Chrome browser I'm using. After I select an element, I'll go back and show you. So we have a class. In fact, span as well is also part of the HTML tags we have. So anytime you see a tag as span like this, just know that you are dealing with the structure of the HTML. It's a tag. So if you see a tag as h1, I can go ahead to show you what h1 tag looks like. So this is also a website created by someone. I don't know the browser, but he just decided to create it with he made it so static. So, and of course we're accessing his element to see what he did. Claims to be a very you know so these are tags as you're also looking at here. As you can see, the HTML overall, and uh, these are tags. So this is, if it's anywhere you see something like a H2, that's a header. If you see a P, that's a paragraph. And what all that is referring to is, if you see a H2, that's the text content of the web page. If you see a P, that's still representing the text content of the web page that you are presently on. So if you see anything like IMG, of course, we'll have to leave here because this browser, this website is a static website. It typically has nothing except just writings and writings, and this person is a very funny person. I don't want to use abusive words on my page. So we're back to the usual Google Chrome, and as I said earlier, it's just a typical. It's a typical. What's it? It's a typical. Um, there's nothing special about the ID. It's everywhere. It's available. You can see it here too. This is one empty ID you can use. So I can try to use it here as well. So this is a class, and I'm sure that there are many. This is an example. So this variable name up here is similar to this, but although they have different. They have the second name is different and all that. So we can just select anything from here and use our query selector to. So let me put in another quick query selector here. Let's give this one query. Um, okay. So as we said earlier, of course, we input the keyword to help us to doing the tag name, and the dots to help us with what we're looking for. So let's use this class name here, or we can even use this. Class name. I want one that looks a bit complex, so that breaks down your fears and you don't have any fear. Okay, all these ones are looking too easy. What class name can even look scary? Yeah, this class name looks scary. So we copy this and console it. So when we output this now, we should get something like a node list, a static node list. So this is a static node list, and it's telling us that there is no other class that has this particular name. It's just, there's no other class that has this particular name. So let's step up and go and check more. Let's check more classes. Let's check if we can get more classes. We're going to use this. We're going to use it to try and check so that we can see. Maybe hopefully we stumble upon a class that's probably sharing its. Guys, take note of the variables I'm changing. So let's go and look for another class ID. This one is a bit You know, it looks like it's a bit unique because it's long. Let's use something that is a bit short that might have this is H1 tag, and it's having its class like this. So there's a delete. So I hope you guys are getting what it is all about. It's not actually hard. So then we come out with the console log. Video don't long go. We won. Do you not? Yes. So whew, unfortunately still the same. So okay, let me use this class name. I just want an example where it might have a length that is bigger than maybe 0 or something. Okay, let's you. So the query selector all is the only difference between the query selector all and the query selector is that the query selector all is used to select an element that shares its name. I mean, elements that they all share the same name, and there are plenty. That's just the difference. So you can use that method to extract them, to select them. So once you use it to select them, they return as a node list where you can look through and do what you want to do. Okay. So, oh wow, this is beautiful. So this is showing you all the things that has to do with the class name. So guys, that is what it is all about, and we spoke about elements by ID, elements by class name, getting elements by class name, and getting elements by tag name, by tag. We also spoke about query selector and the query selector all. So guys, that will be it for today, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Feel free to comment, share my videos, and have a beautiful day ahead. Bye guys, and don't forget to stop coding. Coding is very good. It's a very nice habit. It's better than humanizing or doing something that puts you in trouble or maybe. Alright guys, bye.